I couldn't wait. Hey, it's Romania Black. No, it's been like 2 days and I couldn't wait. I was like, you know what? I can't wait to read volume 16 of Yona the Dawn and see how this arc concludes. I can't wait. Last arc, we had Soo-won coming in. We had stuff being set up with Lily / Riri. We've had stuff set up with Yona, like confronting Soo-won possibly and keeping Lily safe. Hak doesn't know that Soo-won and Yona are next to each other. Oh my god, and compared to the cover on this, I'm a little worried. And then we have possibly the South Kai Empire coming and bringing ships to try to like fight the water tribe. We have Kyo to take care of. There's just a lot going on. And this is supposed to conclude the arc. So, oh my god, I just couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. I was too excited. I was like, nope, can't wait. So, yeah. Yeah, so I could not wait. I've been told, I was talking in the Discord today, and people were talking about volume 37 and 38. 37 is currently coming out in English. 38 is in Japanese coming out. And there's this bonus chapter, like a what if chapter, like an extra chapter that's coming out. That's like a what if scenario, and it's all dark. Like our current protagonists, like darker versions of themselves. And there's a shot of Hak with like nail claws and like his shoulder, like his Hiyori draped over his shoulder and like furs and everything, looking beastly. I'm like, what is this? So people in the Discord said they were going to try to get an English translation. I'm like, thank you. I think Kotaro was talking with me about it today, and I'm very excited by that, but I'm going to wait till we've got plenty of Yona to look forward to. So I'm like, I just want to read it when it came out with the actual edition. I am sure that by the time I get to volume 37, volume 38 will be out in English. So we'll just read it then. Just keep it all coherent and as such. But last volume was so freaking good. All the stuff with Jeha, with the little dragon conference. Like, this series is amazing. It's amazing. And this volume cover, I'm a little bit worried because, yeah, Yona's with Soo-won. And she doesn't trust Soo-won, but she knows that they both have the same goal right now. So there really isn't time to worry about that. They've got bigger fish to fry, and then they'll take care of that later. But Yona being able to keep her cool is awesome. Hak, I don't know, will be able to keep his cool, right? Because he is just as emotionally tied to Soo-won, if not more, compared to Yona. So I don't know, y'all, but last volume was such a surprise, and I am so excited to see what's going to happen in this volume. Where do we even start? So, oh my god, I'm not going to waste any more time. I was like, do I really want to read it tonight? And then I was like, do I want to wait a little bit longer? No, I don't. I was like, I want to see it now. So we're going to start Yona of the Dawn, volume 16. We're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, shit. Well, that was a chat. That was a volume. I was about to cry on multiple occasions. Well, it finally bubbled over. It finally boiled over, and there are things, God, this volume, it finally all came to the surface, and Hak finally put 2 and 2 together and saw Soo-won. Oh my god. So, yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, Hak finally saw him. It was as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to take a picture of this cover because it's great. It was bad. It was as heartbreaking as I thought it was going to be, and the resolution of it was even more heartbreaking. So, this series, here's the thing about this series. I usually, when you have angst in a manga or in a series, anything that you watch, when you have angst, oftentimes you're like, this is angsty, and they're going to get over it, and it's fine. And it doesn't settle into your bones, into your system, Kusanagi has this amazing ability that when there's sadness or angst, it permeates your skin and just takes root inside of you and shakes you to your core, where you just feel like the worst in the world because it's just so damn sad. The reaction, it took me only I've been keeping track of how long it takes me to get through a volume. Usually it's about 50 minutes to an hour. This is only 40 minutes because it's all action and just expressions and double spreads. And she outdid herself. Just the confrontation. There's so much symbolism. There's so many questions. There's so much getting set up in all this. So much foreshadowing. Things I like, things I don't like. I'm like, oh God, this volume. Ending one arc and starting another. And that image of Hak on the cover. Yeah, this was HAK'S volume. And our boy Hak is a disturbed soul. But thankfully, Yona is there for him. And that's, I think, the only thing saving him. Oh my God. Not ready, y'all. Not ready for this. And of course, Kusanagi gives us a little dagger to the heart right off the bat by showing us with Moondog and the three of them, and Hak looking at Soo-won. Oh. If there was a breakup chapter, between Soo-won and Hak, this chapter is it. And then getting Judo's perspective in all this. Oh, damn. There's so much with this volume. So much. Oh, we need to talk about it and go through it. I purposefully, there were so many moments during this volume I wanted to just stop and talk about things. And I was like, no, if I start to stop and talk about it, I won't shut up and we won't be able to read the story. So going back through this, oh my God. Yeah, as soon as I read the title, The Focus of His Rage, and he was a beloved friend, I'm like, yeah, this is about Hak facing Soo-won. I was like, is this going to happen? Mm-hmm, it probably is. Hyo is such a card. I feel like Hyo, I'm honestly okay with Hyo's resolution as a villain. He was played more for comedy in his expressions, just how expressive he gets and more deranged he gets as the volume goes on. And in the end, Hyo is taken out by Hak because the real battle is between Hak and Soo-won. And oh my God, and Soo-won standing there frozen and Hak fighting the dragons. Oh my God. Yep. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. But yeah, I love the dynamic in this volume of Riri, or Lily. I call her Riri. I'm I started with Riri. I'm going to stick it out. It's what the damn translation is saying, so go with it. But Lily and Yona, their relationship, their friendship is just... I like that Tetra was trying to ship it. Tetra's like, don't you love Yona? She's like, shut up. But I do love them as really good foils to one another. And Riri being this version of Yona, it's a combination of Yona from the past to the present. And Yona, God, the growth on our girl, the growth on our queen, just, oh my God, this girl, just amazing. Yona's growth in this series, and oh God, there's so many panels in this I just want to take pictures of because I'm like, ah! So, just, Soo-won definitely Soo-won knows that she's the daughter of the Water Tribe Chief, and Yona picks up on that after the fact, and he's like, you should be able to use your power. Soo-won is doing everything he can to help the situation out without getting directly involved, but he's got a plan and a strategy, and he's working them all through it, right? And so, what I love about this is in the scene where Riri and them show up with the troops, with Ranmaru, they talk about the whole thing with bureaucracy. And Soo-won makes this little mental note to himself. They were because they're oh, you want us to mobilize our troops against the Kai Empire. Well, this is unprecedented. We can't do that. And Soo-won says, bureaucracy. Worse, bureaucracy under a chief who despises war. So it's very clear that Soo-won is Soo-won hates pacifism. And so he despises the idea of bureaucracy and the politics of things. And that whole thing about a person who despises war, he's directly tying it to King Il. That reference is directly there, right? But he's so what's she going to do now? But she shows the seal with the dragon on it. And everybody's oh! And that's all it took, was just that divine authority, right? So it's a really cool thing because we have Soo-won, who does not believe in anything divine or mystical. He believes that everything is done by the power of people and their own free will and their own power as humans. There's no divine power giving them authority over others. But this is a fun example of her using something that does, like, and it happens to have the dragon on it, right? The dragon symbolizing on it to show that, yeah, that faith does have a major impact. Like, that it's just this little tiny thing, this golden little seal. It should mean nothing, right? It shouldn't mean a damn thing. But the people of this water tribe, they revere it so much, and they put so much faith and authority into this little tiny object that it's as if she's the water tribe herself. It's crazy, and it kind of directly conflicts with Soo-won's perspective. So I found that really interesting the moment that they bring that up, and it's effective. And then that's when Soo-won's like, oh, I think that we have a chance. We have a secret weapon, don't we? The moment he said the Thunder Beast, with him, it's impossible for us to lose. Just, oh my God, what a love triangle. What a love triangle. You have Yona falling in love with Hak, and she's dealing with her former love of Soo-won. You have Soo-won dealing with his former love of Hak. Hak dealing with his love for both of these individuals. Like, what is this? What is this love triangle? It's just... But Soo-won saying that as long as we have Hak, we can't lose. Oh my God. And that we're going to tie that back to his thing at the end. And then, of course, we go straight to Hak, who knows no different. But Hak picks up on it. Hak picks up on everything with what Jaeha's telling him. And the fact that Jaeha says, my intuition tells me he's trustworthy. That's the thing. So Soo-won was not trying to do anything against Hak and the others. He was trying to be true and save the water tribe. But it's just Hak's like, you betrayed everything. Like our trust, our friendship. You put Yona in such a horrible position. And what he remembers is what Soo-won did to Yona. Like saying, oh, she'd know about her father's dying. She was there. Like those words are what he remembers. Not the action of killing King Il. No, it's not the action that Hak remembers. It goes back to his words directly to Yona and the impact it had on Yona. Like that's what gets him. And he's just like, you just made her go through so much hell, and you betrayed my trust, my friendship. He's like, you were once my friend, and it's just, God, Hak's emotion in this. He just lets it all out. God, I was about to cry. I was like, I cannot do it, can't do it. So they disguise, I didn't understand what the guys were at first, but they disguised Ranmaru and the others as pirates. And that's such a clever thing, because it's like, we're going to keep the people of the water tribe safe against South Kai, because as long as they don't suspect that it's actual troops or soldiers fighting, then they can't say it's an act of war, and they can't declare war, right? So I like that they're like, we're going to avoid the whole declaration of war by just pretending to be pirates, because pirates are lawless. They don't abide by the law anyway. They're rogues. So I really like that. But we have our first author's note. It's pretty late in the chapter, actually. I'm very curious to hear what Kusanagi is going to say about this. Hello, this is Mizuo Kusanagi. I'm grateful that I've been able to reach volume 16. The anime started airing in Japan, and every episode fills me with reverence for the director, staff, and cast. My parents, who don't even read my manga, applaud when they watch it. Aww. I'm also thrilled by the delighted responses from my readers. I think it makes me even happier when the manga gets praise. But don't worry, I'm still doing my very best with the manga. Yeah. Oh, I love that her parents finally watched the anime. That's really cute. So yeah, we get Kazak. Kazak the aristocrat. He's the most stereotypical of South Kai and aristocrats in general, eating the meat bun as he's on a ship, like this kind of like pudgy guy that's like, oh, everything will be fine. Like, he just has that air of arrogance to him. He's just the most stereotypical, and it makes sense that he's just like, oh, well. And he's like, we'll occupy this town. He's like, the kingdom's new ruler is just a young man shy of his 19th birthday. It'll be easy for us to take him over. It's like, no, Soo-won's pretty smart. But yeah, I love this plan that they just bring the 3 ships. It's not a declaration of war. They just brought the 3 ships. Kija and Jaeha came over with the divers. The divers planted the bombs. Hak and Sheena and the other troops disguised as the pirates came. It was just, and it fits Jaeha so perfectly because it is piracy. It's like Jaeha's wheelhouse. I'm like, of course it is. Of course it is. Oh, but yeah, Yoon. And then they fired the arrows. And getting over there, and then I just love it. I love the idea of Hak and everybody just taking these guys out. And here's the thing. Hak points out, he's like, you guys, this whole pirate getup doesn't suit y'all. You guys have been in the water tribe where everybody's really polite and mannerly. And he's like, yeah, being a hoodlum's difficult. So that's interesting, right? They don't act like typical soldiers, and that helps with the disguise. They don't act like pirates, but they also don't act like a military because of how the water tribes conditioned them. So that's really interesting. I like that little detail. And then Hak, here's the thing. I'm glad I trusted Lady Riri and her friends. And the thing of it is that Hak says, did a red-haired girl say something? He thought Yona gave the inspirational speech in the plan. Hak thought it was Yona that gave all of that. But then the guy reveals, no, it was her bodyguard. He said we'd win the day because the Thunder Beast is here. And that look on Hak's face where he's like, what? That was just, he puts two and two together. He's like, wait, who would say that? Who's the bodyguard? Who's there? Like, it all comes to grips. Like, he figures out who it is because the Thunder Beast is here. Oh, that look. Oh, the way that Kusanagi draws Hak in this is just, it's just so good. But yeah, the expressions on Hyo just get more and more demented as it goes, to the point where Hyo is just this manic. It's almost like Hyo becomes addicted on this drug of revenge. It's like Hyo becomes just as addicted as those that are addicted to Nadai. Just addicted to the idea of revenge on Yona, of hunting her down, to the point where he doesn't even think. He just lunges and gets knocked out. Like, he becomes like a victim of a drug of itself, right? It's really good symbolism. I like it a lot throughout this. But man, the focus of his rage. And from the moment you think it's going to be the focus of Hyo's rage, but no, this is about Hak. This is all about Hak, even as demented as he looks. And everyone is thinking different things. And God, from here on, from this chapter, so much, just so much Kusanagi is giving us, because Zeno's offering to carry Yona, which is great. And that's when Riri reveals that Yona had been slashed across her back and that she'd been injured. And Soo-won takes notice. And so Riri tries to point out, saying, I'm not injured. So she tries to tell Soo-won to guard Yona instead. And Yona's like, that's the last thing I want, is for this guy to guard me. This guy that has betrayed everything to me. Like, no, absolutely not. We're on the same side. We're fighting for the same people, but I am not about it. I feel like by the end of this, Hak vocalizes what Yona's thinking. She's like, I can't forgive him right now. No. Like, I'm fighting for the same cause as him, but that doesn't mean I forgive him. He killed my dad. No. Like, despite everything, she's like, I'm all right. And then Zeno has that sixth sense too. Zeno's about to say, oh, young lady. And then he sees the guy firing the arrow, right? Okay. The storyboard for page 4 of this chapter was like this. Carve pieces from her breast and belly, rip her apart. It said her belly, see? But then in the magazine, carve pieces from her chest and thighs. I'll rip her apart. Wait, the flesh in her thighs? Hyo's hatred towards women is staggering. This kind of raw hatred isn't usually on display in 2014. I had punched to it, so I left the typo in there. Oh, so it was supposed to be belly, and instead it was thighs. It's definitely more graphic and weird, but it fits better, so I like that too. But then Zeno says, get down, they're firing arrows. And so Zeno puts himself up as a shield to protect Yona, and then Soo-won puts himself in front of Yona to shield her, and then Judo ends up slashing the arrows. And I love that Zeno is cradling her head, and Yona's like, oh, so you are trying to protect me. Okay, all right. But here's the thing. This is what's so intriguing and why I ship Hak and Yona so much, right? This is what's great, right? And you could argue, all right, so Yona's like, they're behind us too. So Soo-won doesn't realize how much Yona has grown, right? He doesn't realize he wants to keep her out of the fray. So Soo-won starts out just like Hak in the beginning of the series, where he's like, don't do it. You'll get an arrow in the head for trouble. He tries to hold Yona back to keep her firing. And Zeno even agrees. He's like, no, don't act rash. It's not good. And so he's like, it's fine. Judo and I will protect you guys. And Zeno takes note and says, you really lose your composure when you're around him. And Zeno is our mediator. I said this in the last volume. Zeno is going to be the mediator to try to talk sense, because he's wise beyond his years, right? The mystery of Zeno is so good. I'm just waiting for confirmation, but I don't want to be spoiled. But I'm just like, Zeno. But yeah, he is our mediator, and he is our in-between guy that's like, okay, here's the deal. This is what we're going to talk about. And he tries to calm everybody down. He's been a calming presence for Hak. He's a calming presence for Yona. And he's like, he stopped you because of the wound on your back. He heard about it. And Yona's like, I doubt it. And he's like, no. He's like, what Zeno's trying to say is there's only one enemy here right now. Let's be real. The South Kai fleet is the only problem we have at the moment. No one else is targeting you. So you're smart. Well, and Hyo, he's talking about Hyo's men, not the South Kai fleet. If you think we should take action, Zeno will help you. But think about it. He's like, I'm here with you till the end, but think about what we're doing. But yeah, Yona doesn't even think that she doesn't think Soo-won would even try to protect her at this point, which is a lie. I think Soo-won is trying to protect her, but their actions have really just, it's tarnished. Like that friendship is completely tarnished. And Soo-won drawing out his sword, he's saying, were you once a peaceful citizen of the Water Tribe? And he just cuts him down. Because he was already dying, he just cuts him down to kill him. And he's like, it came from that roof. And he's about to get... And here's the thing. Yona takes Zeno's advice. Even though she doesn't think Soo-won would protect her, our girl, she fires that arrow at him, being like, fine, I'll protect him. He was my friend. It goes back, he was my dear friend. It goes back to the chapter title of the next chapter, He Was Once a Friend. And it's great because Soo-won has not seen... Soo-won and Judo have not seen Yona in action. They haven't seen Yona be able to do what she can do. And so they're getting a taste of, yeah, because of your actions, Soo-won, this girl's had to pick up a bow and defend herself. And now she can. And just the expressions, the way that Judo and Hak and Soo-won are drawn in this volume, chef's frickin' kiss. I can't tell you how much I gush over this. I could stare at it for hours. It's like the Tom Haverford from Parks and Rec where he's like holding the pictures like I stared at this for 4 hours. There are parts of the end of this chapter into chapter 91. I could stare at Hak for hours. I'm just like, But Judo saying, yeah. And Judo has been with them their whole lives. So he's like, I'd have preferred you to stay put. And Yona's like, you don't get to boss me around anymore. I'm exiled, remember? I'm dead. So she's like, I'll follow my own judgment. Thank you. Keep your distance. And he goes back to when her and Soo-won were kids. And that look on Judo's face and saying, I never wished for your death. I wish you'd made a new life somewhere far away where I couldn't see you. Because he has to deal with this now. Yeah. He's like, I chose Soo-won as my king and I can't let myself be swayed by my emotions. So Judo's like, and it's just that guilt, right? Judo's like, I didn't want to see you be put in this situation. But it's like, you're just trying to avoid what you've caused. Like, because Soo-won and Judo, they just, Judo comes out and says it. He's like, I wish you would have just ran far away and I never would have had to see you again. To deal with it. To deal with the aftermath of King Zill's death. And that's exactly what we're seeing. This is the aftermath. This girl's had to put up a sword and put up an arrow to protect herself. And yeah, you've got to see it now. And he's like, I can't let my emotions sway me. He's like, I made a choice. No regrets. # no regrets. I got to see it through. And that's when Hyo, she sways and Hyo, goes after her. And I like that Zeno's like, I'll protect you, young lady. And Soo-won's expression, because it's not, he goes up after, and I love that Zeno's he's ready to protect her, but, it's not Zeno, it's Hak. And then Soo-won's staring. Yeah. Hak with his arm. Oh my god. And he's so pissed. Yeah, so chapter 91 is amazing. It's just double spread after double spread. I'm like, Kusanagi. The angst, I about cried. I was like, I can't take it. Because Hak's rage and anger has been bubbling. We didn't see it in Awa. He missed Soo-won, but he knew he was there. And he knows that Yona's seen him. And now he sees him. And he just thwomps. He just thwomps Hyo to the ground. Just knocks him the fudge out. And he's like, my business is with her. And he's like, nope, your business is with the ground, my friend. I'm like, oh. And Zeno's like, oh. And Judo's like, shit. And then, of course, Yoon and Jaeha and Kijin and Sheena come up and Hak pulling out the blade, but oh my god. And that showdown of Hak just staring straight at Soo-won. This like figure of darkness and this beacon of light. Like he's described Soo-won as this beam of light and Hak as this darkness. It's just the symbolism, y'all, the imagery. And then, yeah, what he remembers is the princess will confirm with you. She witnessed the king's death with her own eyes. He's like, you made her see her father die. And you put her through this pain. Like, you were supposed to love her like I loved her. We were supposed to love her together. And you betrayed our friendship. You betrayed my trust. I'm sure Hak's like, I loved you and you betrayed that by doing this to us. Like, how could you? Oh, and then, yeah, the two guys, the guards, he just knocks them the frick out. And then Judo... he just grabs his sword and everything, and Judo tries to come at him, and Hak gets slashed, and he just kicks Judo the fuck out. Oh my god. Oh, and just pummels them, just pummels all of them, and then just goes towards Soo-won. And I get why Judo gets mad at Soo-won, because he's like, I just got the snot beat out of me, and you just stood there? Like, this guy clearly was mad at you. Just, oh my god. And he goes... and he would have grabbed Soo-won if Jaeha hadn't stopped him. And of course, Jaeha and them didn't know who he was. They had no clue. And so, even though he said Soo-won, they may not have heard him. And then Soo-won's like, I can't move. And then he's like, do you know them? You must have your reasons, but they're Riri's bodyguard and they helped us. They were on our side. And that's, nope, on our side. Hak's like, are you kidding me? Nope. Like, yeah, that bloodlust. Like, he's like, Hak and Yona are totally different, because Yona has been able, it's such a role reversal, right? Because at the beginning of this series, Yona was not in control of her emotions, and she was just a shell, but she didn't lash out in anger. She just became this empty husk. And Hak had to, like, calm her down and bring her back to reality. And here, Hak is just like rage incarnate. He is just so angry. And he just can't see that someone that betrayed them so deeply could ever be on their side. And Yona, surprisingly, even though she doesn't trust Soo-won and doesn't forgive him, she still recognizes that, yeah, they've got bigger enemies to worry about. But Hak, oh, yeah, he wants to kill that man. Absolutely. And to the point where he even fought Jaeha. And Jaeha's like, honestly, okay. And he's like, will you pass out? So he's like, just stop. And he tries to get them to go away, but Hak, our thunder beast, our dark dragon, a dark dragon indeed. And then he's like, Kija, I need you to help. And he's like, if Hak could die if this keeps up. He's like, Hak just needs to get knocked out before he kills himself from all the blood loss. He's lost too much. He's been slashed. His arm's bleeding. He's like, he just needs to calm down or he's going to die. And the moment they say, Your Majesty, and looking at that face, like, he's not crying, but Hak has like blood like running down his face. And I love, God, that imagery. I want to take a picture of it, of the darkness and the light of Hak as this dark figure, this dark presence, and Soo-won in the light, like looking, and they're holding him back. And he says, let go. I will never forgive him. And just seeing the three of them. And what he sees is he sees Hak carrying Yona and Soo-won running behind. And then Hak and Soo-won with Yona in between them being happy. He's like, that happiness, you ruined it. You just ruined us. You tore us apart. And it can never go back to the way it was. Like that's what almost got me. I was like, oh, it's like that friendship will never be the same. It will never... I don't think it can ever go back to being what it was. And it's so sad. Ugh. And then it's Yona with her hand on his, like as it's bleeding. And she's like, Hak, it's all right. I'm all right. And he just like slips the hand away. Oh my God. Like it just gets me, like the artwork on this. The artwork of her hand on his, being like, it's okay. And in that moment, I feel like Yona's like, she's like, I know exactly how you feel, that you don't want to forgive him. She's like, you just embodied all the anger I could have had towards Soo-won. Glad to know you have it, Hak. I don't have to get mad at him. You've covered that base for me. But, oh my God. God, it's so good. He's just, ugh. And everybody else is, and Riri's like, what happened? Riri's like, what is this? I don't understand. And so, God. Sad. So chapter 92 is searching the skies for that smile. So we get the update on Riri of what's been going down. They're trying to establish clinics throughout to help the Nadai addicts, and she's still trying to get her father's approval and help, and she realizes who Soo-won is, and she realizes who her friends are, and she just wants to say goodbye to Yona and them before they go. And so I do like that it doesn't, this series doesn't wallow in the gloom and despair. Like there's been other series I've watched where there's a traumatic moment, like the last chapter, and like for the next 3 episodes the characters are like just in this state of misery. Like, I'm glad it didn't cause any needless drama between Jaeha, Kija, and Hak. I'm glad it didn't. Jaeha realizes that Hak clearly just had some anger he had to work out, and he was just trying to help him. But I'm glad that there wasn't any of this useless drama, none of that stupid stuff going on. It was just all tied to everybody moved forward. It was like, okay, we know what happened, we get it now. And Yoon and them are like, well, we didn't realize that was Soo-won. And Yona's like, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. Like, we were caught up in everything, and I didn't want to make a scene, right? Didn't want to make a scene. But Riri's right. We fought together, so I can tell that she knows. Because, yeah, what did she say there? She's like, we don't want to get too involved. And I'm sure she knows who the bodyguards were. And yeah, so Yona's actually in a very healthy place. Yona's like, I recognize we all fought together. It's fine. Things can't be like they were, but it's okay. So, and then she asks if Hak's healing up, and Yoon's like, I'll make sure he heals properly, And Kija's the one that goes in there. So, we got this note from the mangaka. The guard on General Judo's sword. This is normally volume 13 cover. I tried so hard not to make this mistake, but I drew it upside down on an important cover art. It twirls. It's like a magic wand. Oh, that's funny. So, yeah. And then I like that Hak is like, oh, yeah, I hit you, to Kija. And Kija's like, no, it's a mosquito bite. It's fine. It's nothing. And then Jaeha, I like that Kija says, I meant to tell Hak that I wouldn't stop him next time. Because Kija knows who Soo-won is. And of course, Kija would think, well, that guy hurt Yona, so I should have let Hak do what he wants. But I like that he says, I didn't know that man was Soo-won, the one who assassinated King Il. He's the focus of all of Hak's rage and grief. I sensed it in Awa too. And so Jaeha's like, did doing what I did make things worse by not speaking up? He understands you were trying to protect him. So yeah, I like that Jaeha's like, did I make things worse by like keeping him from killing Soo-won? Should I have let him go? But honestly, what if, right? What if Jaeha hadn't stopped him? Would he have killed Soo-won? How would that have affected him and Yona's relationship? I think in the hindsight, it is good that Jaeha stopped him, but man, and I love that expression from Jaeha where he's like, because Kija's like, yeah, he knows you were just trying to protect him. He's not mad at you. And Jaeha's like, yeah, I know. I love that expression. That's so beautiful. It's such a good one. I'm going to take a photo of it. I love it. I love the expression Jaeha gives. It's wonderful. So yeah. So then we have Hak and Yona walking side by side, and Yona looking up at him and just seeing how Hak was. And she's like, what do I say? And Hak tries to take the sticks from her, and she's like, no, you can't do that. And he's like, it's fine. She's like, you can't even grip my hand. And so he does grip her hand. She's like, ugh. She's like, how can you squeeze so hard when it hurts? Are your muscles made of steel? And he smiles. I love that he laughs. He like chuckles at that. And she's like, oh. And this part almost got me too, where she's like, Hak smiled. And she's like, starts to cry. And she's like, I'm just relieved. And she's like, somehow I always let you see me being vulnerable. And I love that Hak's like, oh, I love that he's like that. Because this whole time, Hak has been struggling with the fact that he can't seem vulnerable around her. because he doesn't want her to worry about it. And then when she comes out and says, well, I always feel vulnerable around you and I hate it, he just pulls her into that embrace and he's like, I didn't see anything. And she's like, he still treats me with so much consideration even after everything that's happened. And I love that she like hugs him and cries. It's like, please God heal Hak's wounds. And you could take that as like his literal wounds, but you can also take it as like the wounds that Soo-won's caused. Like, let those be healed too. And that's such a crazy tie too, because there's that idea of divine spirits and gods. Like, she's like, come on, God, just let Hak heal and be able to move forward. And then we cut to Gulfin and Soo-won, and what Soo-won tells Judo about taking matters into his own hands in the future, right? And so I like these, like, I'm home, Gulfin. And then we get old Kishuk. It's been a while since we've seen Kishuk, right? He's back in the fold. But I like that Judo gets on to Soo-won. He's like, why didn't you move? He's like, you didn't draw your sword. At a moment like that, draw your weapon. Were you so overcome with sentiment that you weren't going to let him take, that you were going to let him take your head? Because so Judo's like, I was suffering too. He's like, I didn't want to face Hak and Yona. I didn't want to face these two people that we have betrayed and thrown out and cast out of our palace and cast out of the tribe. He's like, I didn't want to face them, but I put aside my emotions to do what I had to do. And he's like, you were letting your emotions get the better of you, and you're king. He's like, I followed you. Now prove that you are worth following. He's like, you have bigger fish to fry. He's like, you have to unite the 5 nations and protect us from outside invasion. You were prepared just to die. I chose you because of your commitment. If you want to die, do it after you've achieved your goals. And Soo-won's like, oh. He's like, I didn't intend to throw my life, but at that moment I just couldn't move. You know? But, and then what he says, he's like, next time I'll cut him down. And Judo's expression, it's like, that's not what he wanted to hear. But, that's what I hate. That got me too. That got me really emotional too, because I'm like, no. Because then he like looks at Gulfin, he's like, go out and play, Gulfin. I'm like, no. It's like, let the kid out after you just had a divorce meeting. It's like, no. I don't like that at all. I don't like the idea that Soo-won is saying, next time I'll cut him down. I don't... Because he looks like he doesn't want to do that. Soo-won looks like he doesn't want to cut him down at all. He looks like he want to do anything but cut him down. That's so sad. So freaking sad, y'all. I can't. Like, this volume just gutted me. I was like, I just want them all to be friends, and we can't have nice things. Because Kusanagi says no. My heart hurt. Because he looks up and sees Gulfin flying away. And it's like, just seeing that symbol of their friendship and relationship is just, it's like, Gulfin is like the only representation of that still. So then we get Yona the Dawn modern version. In a modern version, I think Taeyu and Hyung Dae would be Hak's twin cousins. It's not fair it's not fair that only you have a coat, Hak. Let us borrow it sometime. Yeah, you'd let Yona borrow it. I'm off to take a bath. Oh, his coat kind of looks like the one that Haiji wears in Run with the Wind. I do love the spread of them all together. Yona in the lead, and her hair looks like it's starting to grow out a little bit. And Hak looking down at her. Hak's looking at her, of course. Kija's looking at Ao. And Jaeha's trying to peek Sheena's eyes. And Zeno is embracing Yoon. Some of you said that you approve of Yoon and Zeno's relationship. I would if I didn't think that Zeno was like 1,000 years old. But we don't have confirmation of that yet. But yeah, so we get them all meeting back up together. And then Riri giving off all the Taejun vibes with being in the barracks with the soldiers. All the Taejun vibes, doing all the things. And then we see Tetra and Ayura meet back up with her. And so the thing with her dad, we'll get to that. But they have the big fish fry. They have all the clams and everything. And all the food looks amazing because it's manga food. It looks great. Of course it does. And they have all of that. And everything looks wonderful. And I love the conversation that Yona and Riri get to have about Yona thinking Riri's fascinating. and being like, I think you're really cool. And she's like, you're stuck with all these weirdos. And she's like, yeah. But then we have the conversation while that's going on with Tetra and Hak. And this whole arc, there's been hints that Tetra knows Hak. And she does know him from back when they visited during King Ill's reign. So she knows who all of them are. And she knows that glaive. And he's like... And she's like, oh... He's like, that girl's the chief's daughter, isn't she? And she's like, oh, you have us figured out. And he's like, so what happens now? Are you going to report us? So Hak this whole time has been worried about her reporting them to the tribe chief and that they would rat them out. Because right now, Soo-won's kept quiet. But if other tribes suspect and know who they are and take it to Soo-won, then Soo-won can't be quiet about it anymore. So, cool, buddy. But yeah, they try to save the food, and they all go under the tent. And then I like the Hak looks at Tetra like, what are you going to do? Right? I was afraid for a moment that Tetra would like try to woo Hak, but Tetra is so into Yuru, so that's not even a thing, right? And Hak is only into Yona, let's be real. But they basically want them to be careful. And they're like, I can only imagine the kinds of hardships that Yona's endured. That distant gaze is not that of a naive 16-year-old. Nope. And so then, yeah, I like that Yona tells Riri about how she appreciates like the little things, like the rain and the lands being beautiful, and that you get used to hardships that you weren't used to before. Like, it's very sweet. And Yona, this is really awesome because we get two sides of this. You see Yona connecting with Riri and trying to project some of her own regrets with her own father onto Riri. She's like, no, she's like, I get why, you know, and because Riri says, I don't know how he can call himself a general. And Yona's like, yeah. Like, Yona's thinking, my dad's not been a great king. I figured out over the last 15 volumes that he's not really a great king. He wasn't. And she's like, that's really hard. But she's like, I think fathers never know what their daughters are thinking. But try to be there for him. If he needs help, do the best you can. Even if you don't understand him, don't abandon him. Because, yeah, that's the thing. I think that Yona is, on the one hand, she's regretting that she's like, her dad probably never really understood what she was thinking and understood her wants and desires, because that's just how it goes. And she's seeing Riri struggling through the same thing she was struggling through and realizing that, yeah, maybe fathers don't really understand their daughters that well. But she's also saying that even if people say he's a lousy ruler, even if they, you know, denounce him as a king, she's like, don't abandon him. Even if you don't understand him. And I think that she's saying that for her father, being like, she doesn't want to abandon the memory of her dad being king. She doesn't want to abandon him being a kind person, even though other people don't understand him. She doesn't want to abandon that to him. But it could also apply to Hak, too. I mean, to Soo-won, too. Even if you don't understand him, don't abandon him. Well, but I think it's more towards her father than Soo-won. You could apply it to Soo-won, that Yona doesn't understand Soo-won's motivations, but realizes he's doing good for the kingdom. But I think in this conversation, it's really about her dad. And that she's like, yeah, no, even if you don't get it, don't abandon that memory of him. Like, don't let that fade away, right? So sad. So this mangaka says, my sister and I tried to list all the characters who appear in Yona. We were bored in the bath. We were surprised by how few characters there actually are. We named all the main characters in no time. Anyone else? There's Li Huang. Huh? Who's that? He only appears in the bonus track of the second drama CD. I created him to be Hak's opponent in the martial arts tournament. Don't know him. Ha! Okay. That's funny. And so, I love that when Riri asks if Yona's the murdered princess, Yona's just, that expression says it all. God, I love that. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, this volume, the artwork in this volume has been amazing. It's just been so damn good. And so she hears, and then she cries, and she wants to still be there. Again, Riri gives off a lot of Taejun vibes because she wants to like be there. She's like, I'll devote myself to protecting you. So at this point, you know, I honestly don't know. We talked about the whole sword and the shield thing. I don't know at this point, because it seems like wherever they go, the people that Yona comes into contact with, they become kind of devoted to her, like wanting to protect her and devote themselves. So I don't know if the dragons are meant to be the shield and the people of Quokka if the people of Quokka are the sword or the shield. I don't know. It's interesting, right? I'm going to kind of tuck that away from now. I don't want to be spoiled, but I'm kind of like, I don't know if Taejun is the sword of the shield now yet or at all, because Riri's kind of following suit just like Taejun. So interesting. And so I love that Yona's just like, I can never forget a friend I went into battle with. And then Riri's like, you called me a friend. It's like, I love Riri. She's great. I love her. She's wonderful. She's so strong-willed, and she's just absolutely amazing. I love it. So then we go back to chapter 94 about time doesn't stop moving, that things keep moving forward whether we like them or not. And at first, on first glance, I was really, really shocked and appalled that he banished her from the palace. But then you find out what that banishment really is, right? That his words and actions don't quite match up. And that's the amazing thing. And I love that Tetra kind of clues her in on it too. And that his actions of banishing her are allowing her to become stronger and to take action and to become more of her own person. In a weird way, it's doing the opposite of King Il. Because I said that Junji was a lot like King Il, but his actions towards Riri are kind of the opposite. Because King Il, he didn't want her to go to war, and he makes that statement. I love that statement he makes. He's like, I didn't want my daughter to know what war was. And I think that King Il didn't want Yona to know that either. But the difference is King Il sheltered her to the point where he just wouldn't let anything bad happen to her and wouldn't let her have any agency. He was just like, oh, just be this happy little princess. It's fine. Just live in this utopia. It's okay. Whereas Junji is like, no, your actions are going to have repercussions, but it's making her stronger. And honestly, the banishment is, they're like in this beautiful cove with like a koi pond and everything, and she's like, this isn't a prison, and the girls are like, well, yeah, and they say the door isn't locked. So his punishment to her is saying, yeah, I get what you did. I have to punish you, but you go out and do what you need to do to help the kingdom. Like, I trust you. And it's the weirdest thing. It does the opposite of King Il, and in the weirdest way, it establishes, he's like, yeah, it just shows that she did have influence on him. He just didn't show it to her. He took it with him to the council meeting. But it's fascinating to show how much faith he ends up having in her, that she's going to be able to do stuff for the kingdom. He just doesn't, he doesn't outright say you're right, but he basically says it. All right, this is the end of the Water Tribe arc. A reader once asked me how Soo-won can be the 11th king of Koko when the kingdom has existed for several thousand years. As Yona explained in chapter 17, at long last, there were times when the fire and water tribes held the throne, and there were also civil wars. Soo-won is the 11th king in the Sky Tribe's reign. We'll see you in the next volume. Also, please watch the anime right to the end. Okay, so he's the 11th Sky Tribe king, but the Water Tribe and Fire Tribes have also had reign. Okay, but not the Earth Tribe or the Wind Tribe. Interesting. Again, if we're tying to Zeno, I think Zeno's from the Water Tribe. So if we're tying that, I think maybe Zeno, I don't know, is the original. It'd be funny if the original Hiryu was from the Water Tribe and not the Fire Tribe. Interesting. Or if Hiryu's wife was from the Water Tribe and he was from the Fire Tribe. I don't know. We'll find out, right? But I don't want to be spoiled, but that's interesting. Interesting that the Wind and Earth tribes were never in charge of Koka. But yeah, so we get I love that Taeyu is like the young whippersnapper, and he's like the young version of Hak, and he's just like, I don't know why I'm here, since Moondog stepped down, or since Hak stepped down. But yeah, and then of course, Judo. I love Judo and Gunte's banter, that Gunte's like, you need to get a girlfriend. Judo's like, I would if I wasn't getting gray hair watching these three, And then Kyoga is just no nonsense. Kyoga's having none of this. He's like, why are you all like this? This is ridiculous, right? And so they establish a threat that there is the northwestern region of Koka along the border of the Earth Tribe and South Kai. All right, they're in Chishin. This region once belonged to Koka and was annexed during the reign of King Il. And it's always under threat from the Kai Empire. And so they're going to strengthen the front by going to war. And that's what the one Water Tribe chief was afraid of. He's like, And so Gunte's like, all right, we're finally doing this. Okay. And then I like this part here that Jeongji is like, I know the situation. And he thinks back to his daughter saying she'd fight alongside him. He's like, I dreamed that my daughter would never inherit a world without war. And he's like, I like this metaphor. He says, the water tribe has never liked war. We're peaceful people with a spirit like flowing water. But when a dam breaks open, water has the strength to swallow and overwhelm everything in its path. Once a torrent is unleashed, nothing can stop it. And I feel like that's how Riri's been. Like, once she's got started, it's like nothing can stop her. And now he's the same way. He's like, we're going to do all we can to eradicate South Kai's influence. And everybody's like, oh, he's actually getting involved. Mm-hmm. And the thing of it is, it's not really Soo-won that I think caused his change of heart. It's Riri and subsequently Yona's actions that did it. So it's interesting, right? And so I like that everybody's thinking, like, Judo's like, okay, everybody's united. Good. Gunte's like, we're finally getting things happening. All that the young Wind Tribe boy is thinking of is war. And then Kyoga just looks tired. Kyoga's like, okay, just lost my dad. My brother's stressed. I guess we'll do this. And so then, but okay, there is such a thing. There is a thing between Zeno and Soo-won. Something's up, right? Because Kusanagi has made a habit of showing Zeno and Soo-won in the last volume, this volume, together constantly. Something is up, right? And I don't want to be spoiled, but I'm on to you, Kusanagi. You're doing something with Zeno here, because it shows him on the day the 5 tribe council agreed to send troops to the Kai Empire to reclaim lands belonging to the northwestern region of Koka. And you see Zeno looking at the birds flapping away. And he looks up there like he knows that war is in the air. Like he can sense it, right? And then he's like, oh, I'm coming. Never mind. Something's up there. Something's up. And I don't know what it is, but oh my God. And so then, yeah, the cozy prison. And then Riri finds out that her dad is letting her. I like they say, Tetra says, I think he's saying this is a path you've chosen for yourself and for the land. You have to see it through. He's just trying to give you a push forward. And then I love that Tetra's there to say that he does love you and he cares about you and he's tried to protect you, but he's recognized that you're strong-willed and that you know what you're doing. And I was like, ah. Oh. And I feel like it is different from King Il, but I like it in his own way. He's supporting her and I like that, but man. And so then, yeah. And then we end with Riri following Taejun's suit and going to help save the Water Tribe and set up the clinics, just like Taejun set up the clinics too. So, ooh! And then Mizuho Kusanagi, I am thankful that I have met so many people because of this series. So yes, that's the end of that arc, but I don't know what we're doing next. Oh man. Just my heart, y'all, just crushed. I'm glad we got it out of the way now. I feel like, okay, we got that out of the way. Okay. Now we've seen Hak and Soo-won have seen each other again. Wasn't good, but now it's over, right? So they don't have to see each other again for another 10 volumes. Right. I don't like the fact that Soo-won's like, I'll cut him down next time. And I'm like, I don't know if Soo-won can fight Hak. I don't like that. I don't want to see that. Kusanagi, don't show us that. Please don't. But, man, I am glad with where Hak is at with the dragons and with Yona at the end of this. Is just, God, the angst. Whew. What a volume. What a volume. So, I have in my notes that volume 18 is where we're going to have the other OVAs. That next one should be, obviously, chapters 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. So we're going to get through those the next volume, and then after chapter 101, or on chapter 101, page 22 is where the OVAs technically start. So, so interesting. Probably when we get to chapter 101, I'll start the OVAs, but that'll be in volume 18. And I've been told that I can't watch the stage play until volume 18, so because there's spoilers. So after volume 18 is over, and after we watch the OVAs, then I'll probably watch the stage play and do my own video for that. And so that'll be kind of fun to go back. We'll get to go back! Oh my God, the stage play is supposed to cover volumes 14 through 16. We'll get to see all of this again! The angst again! Only in live action! Isn't that exciting? I'm not ready to see it live action. I don't want to see it acted out. Ugh. By that point, I'll just be starting to forget it, and then we'll relive it, and it'll be all fresh again. This was so good, y'all. So good. My heart was crushed, and then it slowly pieced itself back together, because that's how Yona of the Dawn is. It just, by the end of it, it slowly pieces back together, and time moves on. Time never stops moving. But I don't know how our dragon crew, our happy, hungry bunch is going to get involved in this war, what that's going to be like, what detail that's going to happen, or how that's going to affect things. But I'm really curious to know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this reaction and discussion. Please, no spoilers. But so yeah, that's this week. I couldn't wait, and it was worth it. So now I'm going to wait a little bit before getting into volume 17, though, just a wee bit. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with volume 17 of Yona of the Dawn. Bye.